What's good, everybody? It's your guy Steve from the 16th Ward, Allentown, Pennsylvania State Constable's Office. And I got some updates for you. I got some updates for you guys that is very necessary for a lot of people to hear. This is for Pennsylvanians as well as those in passing. I know it's been a while since I've spoken with you guys, and those that are still here, I greatly appreciate you for sticking around and staying subscribed to the channel. I appreciate you guys soaking up all the information because it does actually save headaches for you guys to get the necessary tools of information that you guys are able to arm yourselves with while passing through Pennsylvania. And for those that are living there, the information does help you guys learn who you could pull on for aid and who you should not do certain things in front of due to the lack of knowledge in who is law enforcement and who's not. So let me give an update on a few things. The first thing that I'm going to touch on is my case involving red and blue lights out of Perry County. There has been some developments since me and you guys have last seen each other. So the first thing that we're going to speak on in regards to this is the fact that we have a 3-judge panel in the Superior Court deliberated upon my case. And it's important to note that there are some biases between 2 of the judges toward the constable office in general. I'm not going to simply say that they're out to get Constable Stephen Wiggs. No. They are just not in favor of the constable office in certain regards. So, one being the vehicles that we're forced to drive in the manner that we're forced to drive them are they don't want to acknowledge the vehicles as emergency vehicles, designating emergency vehicles in the element of having red and blue lighting. So they ruled that constables can't have the lights. They ruled that constables' vehicles are not emergency vehicles. And there was one judge out of the 3 that just so happened to be a male judge that honored the office of constable as a policing system and saw that the vehicles were in fact emergency vehicles because the constables are police officers of the state, and the vehicles in turn are police vehicles because there are police officers driving them, which are in fact the constables. So there has been some developments following this. The 2 female judges, let's dig into them. So I hear that one of the females is either allegedly dating a trooper or married to one. Now understand, why is that significant? The troopers are at play in regards to this light's case. It was a trooper that stopped me, and it was he didn't want to adhere to the laws, and he may have had some direction from his agency to further violate the office of constable. So the other female just so happened to be a member or a former member of the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency, which is our state training system. Everyone knows it as PCCD. So why is that significant? Well, in PCCD, the state system, there has always been a hit, like a hitman, a hit out on my agency from this particular system. And in the board of PCCD, that there has always been the Pennsylvania State Police sitting in like a hierarchy position in regards to the educational aspect. So they've always had a say in what we're trained in. And in the training mechanisms, there has always been a bias toward our agency that really never honored our true nature and true authority under the laws of the Commonwealth. So in our state training system, we're supposed to be trained specifically in the element of judicial services. But the educators have always bared off to the left, trying to sway our officers into believing that we weren't police officers, that we had no authority outside the judicial system, that we are independent contractors and not actual law enforcement. These are the things that these guys would actually say, that we couldn't have red and blue lights, that our cars are not police cars. They would just throw these things out there, left and right, trying to sway our officers into believing that we weren't the officers that we had sworn into the office to actually be. It's a lot there to unpack. Now, mentioning the female in the idea of being either married to a trooper allegedly or dating a trooper allegedly. If these things are true in regards to this woman that's a judge in my case, there is an open bias. Of course, me and my legal team, we tried to get these females removed. But of course, the Superior Court is the Superior Court. These guys are pretty powerful. We tried to get these females out of there, because there is an open bias against the constable office in general. I'm not going to go out and say it's something against Stephen Wiggs directly. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to say when they hear Constable Stephen Wiggs, it's like, oh, we gotta go after this guy. You know what I'm saying? No. They're not going after me. They're going after the constable's office. I just so happen to be the guy that was in the office. So the judge that actually sided with me, sided with the laws of the Commonwealth, because the constable law is the laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. He sided with the laws. He didn't side with the females' feelings and their opinions and things of that nature. He saw through them. He saw the bias that they had, and he did not agree with it. So he was the only one that sided with the laws of the Commonwealth, rather than going based upon these women feelings. You see how this is going? So you got two going based upon their feelings, and one going based upon the laws of the Commonwealth. So what happened? These women ruled against me, stating that the constable couldn't have the lights because our vehicles apparently weren't emergency vehicles. Constables aren't police officers, and all this stuff that they want to throw around. Well, this one male judge ruled in our favor based upon the laws that stand and has always stood. Okay? So, the initial ruling that constables weren't able to have the lighting, when they came out with that ruling initially, that ruling went all over the law enforcement community. And once that happened, citizens started to, come after our constables. Other agencies started to come after our constables, talking all kinds of rhetoric that put our officers in danger and also put the citizens in danger because they were just simply lying left and right, So let's entertain this for a second. Let's say the guys couldn't have the red and blue lighting. It doesn't negate the fact that they are still the police officers that the Supreme Court stated that they are under Henry Act 147. It did not negate the fact that constables had the authority to make arrests for on-view felonies, misdemeanors, and ordinances. It didn't negate that. It did not negate that. Guys could sit there and still roll up on you in a vehicle. If this is about lighting, they didn't have to turn on red and blue lights to make a warrantless arrest. Now the emergency lighting does help with traffic control when there is an official situation going on. No different than, just imagine a municipal police officer out there chasing somebody down, and he's in the street, and he's chasing somebody in the street, and he had no emergency lighting on, and it's let's say 12 o'clock a.m., dark at night, right? If there's no emergency lighting out upon the vehicle and he's on a highway or some type of roadway and nobody can see him because the lights are not on to warn people to yield to that scene, then that officer potentially could be hurt by passing vehicles. Just imagine that. Now the constable has the authority to make those arrests. So let's say the constable, being identified as a police officer under the Supreme Court ruling, and for the purposes of being police officers, we had that authority to make these arrests, and it states that it's the business of the constable to do so. So we wouldn't have the lighting to protect ourselves and the subject that may be fleeing from us. Do you see how dangerous that is? So what has happened? We got what they call an en banc, an appeal on the Superior Court level within the Superior Court, right? That it doesn't happen. I think it was reported to me that we might have been the 29th or 30th in the history of Pennsylvania to ever get an en banc decision. And it only happens when there is at least one judge, lawfully and thoroughly ruling against two other judges. So there's 7 judges, to my understanding, on the Superior Court level. 3 were on my case, and 2 ruled against me, and 1 stood on business. And because that 1 stood on business, the original ruling gets voided. So it's like those females ruling against us never even happened. Okay? It completely stops the enforcement upon these other agencies toward the constable's office to further give these guys hell for their emergency equipment. But when the en banc happened, these guys did not spread that as fast as they did the original ruling. You see how ironic that is? I mean, come on. When they originally came out with the ruling that constables could not have the lights, they spread it like wildfire. It went around. It went all over the training systems in the Commonwealth for municipal police and troopers and sheriffs, constables. But when the Banc happened, the appeal happened, they were silent. They went silent, and they left it up to us to actually produce that information. You see how crazy this sounds? So, we are now on our way back to court on the appeal. The original decision that these females made based upon their feelings and not the law has been voided now. It's stopped. So now we're back to square one. Now we're back to, going boom, 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 toe to toe with these guys, and lying about the authority of the constable's office. So that's one of the updates. I'm going to say it again. The original ruling of the red and blue lights case against Constable Stephen Wiggs has been voided. And there's only one reason that the Banc would happen, is if the one judge had a compelling stance against these two judges, and the remaining judges saw that there has been a need for some interference. They said foul on the play. Wait a minute. These people are moving based upon their feelings and not the actual laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. This cannot happen. So they stopped it. They put a stop to it. And now whatever comes out during this appeal is going to be the new law setting precedents. Now, if these guys just so happen to be dirty and rule against us and with the feelings of these women and the feelings of the state police, because it's not law that they're ruling on. They're ruling on their feelings, completely ignoring the law. Then we're going to go to the Supreme Court level. And if the Supreme Court is dirty, we're going to the federal level. We're gonna do what we need to do to fight this fine tooth nail, to get this right. The objective is to stand on business upon the laws of the Commonwealth. That's what is necessary to happen, because the citizens are continuously being lied to, extremely, setting our guys up continuously for downfalls while they are in the field, and citizens are also being put in harm's way because people are being set up to be guinea pigs. Like you dismiss or disrespect one of our guys thinking that we don't have any authority to make an on-view arrest for any breaches of the peace, felonies, or misdemeanors. Guess what? They're going to arrest you if anything's done in front of their faces. And then those officers that lied to you and said they are not police officers, guess what they're going to do? They're not going to come to your aid, putting their badges on a line. They're not. They're going to sit on the sidelines and watch how that case play out, and watch you get thrown in the fire. So, the other minor, and I'm not going to touch on this heavily, but we are in New Jersey on our way back to court. Me and my legal team in New Jersey we're strong. just like my legal team in Pennsylvania. They're strong. So stay tuned for that. You know, I just wanted to touch bases with you guys. There's a lot of information to touch bases on, but I wanted to make sure that people further understood in regards to the stance of the constable in Pennsylvania. We are still strong. We are not dying. To kill the constable in Pennsylvania actually means to kill the troopers, to kill the municipal police officers, to kill the county sheriffs, because their authority are derived from the Pennsylvania State Constable's office. That's the truth. So to kill us is to kill themselves. That's just what it is. That's the laws of the land. You know, I'm not going to go through, I think I went through the laws that signify where their authority and how their authority comes from our agency many times before. I've dropped some things, you know, to help you identify that fact. But I'm just reiterating it. So, we're on our way back to court on the Banc, and we're going to set the record straight. So, stay tuned, and I'll catch you guys later. Be good. God bless. Peace.